What I'd like to speak about this morning is Jesus' teaching, seek and ye shall find. Seek and ye shall find. Quite a teaching when you think about it. So what are the implications of that? Why do we seek? It could very well be we're seeking because there's something missing. Trying to find something that's missing. I think at a most basic level, that's true. And I think it's true in a spiritual context. It's true if you're looking for your keys, but we're not talking about your keys. So people seek when there's something missing. Barry asked me something about how I would describe what's missing. Or how does a person know what to look for? That was more or less the question. And my answer was, you don't. You're missing it. You don't have it. And from a spiritual standpoint, you don't know what you're missing if it's not there. You might have some idea, you'd like more of this or more of that, but you don't have the thing that you would know if you had it. So you're seeking for something that you don't know. But what do you know? You know something's missing. And what I would like to speak to here this morning is that there is a hole in the heart of humanity. And we're all part of humanity, so we all are in touch with that hole. And it lands more deeply in some people than others. Some people feel the vacuousness of what's happening in their human experience, the loneliness of it, the isolation of it, the opposite of the oneness that C spoke to so beautifully. The statistics on loneliness are incredible. It's an epidemic. And I don't think it's just because we started to pay attention and notice it was there, but perhaps it's accelerating in these days. The hole in the heart is accelerating in the heart of humankind. So you can just sit there with that vacuum and not seek, or you can seek in the wrong places, or you can seek from the place from which it is filled. If you're not seeking, you're not going to find it. I think aspirational thoughts alone don't do it. Because until a person recognizes there is something missing, that they're lacking, then they're not apt to open themselves, surrender themselves to the source from which it would be filled. And what is that source? So I want to go to another teaching of Jesus. The teaching goes that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. And there's another word in front of that which I rail about, because it was translated by, first of all, the Romans, and then it came through Latin into English as repent. And that lovely word repent, while we could try to kind of salvage it and justify it, includes the word pent, which is reminiscent of penitentiary, penal colony. It comes from a word that means punish. And so it connotates self-punishment. And indeed, if you look at the history of Christianity, there's plenty of not only punishment of others, but self-punishment. Self-flagellation, that's an actual practice that people have taken up. I just read that one of the recent popes self-flagellated. That's when you take like a whip and do this, that kind of thing, or I don't know what else. So it seems to have the connotation of self-flagellation. So this is something about how the human psyche works. We get very confused when we're told we can have something beautiful, but it's given to us in a very distorted, hurtful way. Like parents sometimes do that. Parents can be very loving, but then very hurtful. And it confuses the heck out of the child. The child learns to love in a way that hurts, to receive and give love in a way that has hurt in it, pain in it. And here's a perfect example. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. Self-punish. How uplifting. So, I got curious. What was the original word? What was the original word? Hard to know. But before it was in Latin, it wasn't self-punish. I can say that. There is an Aramaic word. And in Aramaic, this teaching uses that word, tubu. And tubu means to turn. And in fact, it means to turn 180 degrees. So what is it saying? There's a place from which the hole in the heart of humanity is filled. But you have to turn to where it is to find it. You have to seek it where it can be found. The kingdom of heaven is at hand, so turn to it to find it. By its very nature, heaven, whatever we think about it, is invisible before it's manifest. So it is our hidden potential as human beings. It is the presence of love within us. It is the presence of being itself. The presence of the soul family. This presence of the Supreme Soul. So turn to that because it's at hand. And then seek what can be found there. But how do you seek? How do you seek? If there truly is a vacuum, a hole in your experience as a human being, how do you seek in a way that it is filled? Desperately, right? Desperately. Do you think casual seeking lets you find it? I'm not feeling so good today. I think I'm going to see if I can find a little love inside or something. No, that is not how it happens. And I'm rather guessing pretty much everybody here has found it, at least some, because you were desperate for it. You were desperately seeking it, desperately wanting it, and therefore turned and opened yourself in an extraordinary way that the average person doesn't. And that's why the average person goes around with an ache in their heart that is unresolved. That's why humanity has that ache in its heart. The very word Islam means surrender. And yes, there's the gestures of surrender in Islam, like get down on the prayer rug and face Mecca and put your head down. Those are the physical gestures of surrender. But it can't just be going through the motions, whether you're Islamic or anything else. Surrender's got to be inside, for real, in the heart. It has to be desperate. Knowing that there's a potentiality that is available to come in and fill the hole in the heart, to fill the space, to bring guidance for us as humanity. And that without that, we're sunk. We're sunk as humanity, and we're sunk as a human being. And I'm not suggesting we should all walk around desperate all the time, but still, there has to be that place in ourself that knows how much we rely on something that is outside of our human persona. something larger than what we are as a human being. And truly opening to that, it can come in. And if it can come in, it can fill us. It can fill the hole and fill to overflowing and then flow through us. I love the portrayal as Cease offered it to us from Jesus' prayer. There were three entities involved, at least. There was Jesus himself. There was the Father to whom he was opening and being filled from. And then he was filling the people in his life. And we could say, okay, and he included us in that so generously from, millennia ago. So we could look at that as him doing that, but that's us. That is us in that position of opening to something and allowing ourselves to be filled to the point that we have what we've been filled with to offer to the people in our world. We are Jesus in that sense. Each of us individually could be in a different place with these things. Like, what are you talking about being desperate? I'm doing really well, or I'm having a really happy time, and we're all in a different place. Or it could be a down cycle. It's like, I've been sick, I just lost somebody. My life has changed in some way, and what was usual for me, what I was relying on, is no longer there. No, I am in a place of feeling that desperation. But however it is for us personally, individually, we're part of a body of humanity. We have the ability to speak for that body of humanity because we're a part of it, whatever our immediate experience is. We can speak for the people in Gaza. We can speak for the people in Ukraine. We can speak for the homeless here in America. We can speak for anyone of any station who is feeling that vacancy. And we can seek for them. We can open on their behalf because we're part of this body that we're all part of, one body. And we're all feeling what the rest of this body of humanity is feeling, what this soul family is feeling. So we can speak on behalf of our soul family. We are in need. We are in need. We are seeking. And we can also speak into the soul family. We can speak for what comes from the Father, what comes from the Supreme Soul, and speak that love into the heart of humanity. Speak that love into the heart of any human being. And then what happens to this big vacancy? I think as Christmas was coming, I was saying how something like 35% of the American population was dreading having Christmas come. Because it's a time of year where people expect and look to share oneness, to share love with other people, to share warmth, intimacy. And if that's not happening for a person, it's like you're holding up the possibility in front of them. Here's the Christmas tree, but you can't have it. Like, you can't have that gift that Christmas is supposed to be. But what happens when the Supreme Soul pours love into a human being? My best symbol of that is the sun. It's like where there used to be this vacant place, there is now a burning sun. Before it happened, you don't know what you're looking for. You just know something's missing, right? There's a void where something should be. But when it comes in, there it is. It's this ball of fire and warmth and love and fullness. And then you have that to share. You have it to share, as was so beautifully portrayed through Jesus' words and your representation of them, Cease, that we could all feel that. So how about us? All of us in this room here, whether you're here for the first time or for the oomph time, and all of us online, where are we in this whole mix? If we want to talk about what we speak of as the spiritual or heaven, anything of real potential for humanity, it starts by being invisible, does it not? It starts by being invisible. Yes, love is invisible until you give it expression. But the source of love within ourselves, you cannot see. You cannot see. And that is the point of the admonition to turn. To turn. You have to turn to it. Now, if somebody just reads that, turn to love, it's like, thanks a lot. So it's like, where is that? But then I get to, so why are we here? What are we doing here? It's because it is different. If there's a person who says, turn to love, knowing that love is invisible, you're not exactly saying, turn to me. You may be a loving person and you want a person to know that you have love for them. But if you're guiding them to turn to love, you're guiding them to something invisible. Something invisible. But it's different if you, as a person, are there to say it. It is available in a different way. They can find what to turn to. If you tell somebody to turn to something invisible, it's like, thanks a lot. In Islam, they made it easy. Face Mecca. I'm sure, everybody can get out the compass and figure which direction Mecca is from where they are. It's a physical location. And maybe that's helpful, because maybe in doing that, you're turning to something inside that is more than a physical direction. But how do we encourage people to turn to something they can't see that is not physical, and still be as emphatic about it as Jesus was? Turn. You're looking here. He said, low here, low there. You're looking all over the place for something. There's something drastically missing, but you're not looking in the right place. Turn. Turn to something invisible. It's right at hand. Heaven's right at hand. Your potential to be a loving human being is right there. Turn to it. I wonder if we could speak with that kind of authority with people. Maybe we'd have to work up to it or something. Turn. Face the source of something that's right with you. It's right with you, available to pour into you and pour through you. It's right here. Ooh. And I know it's here. I know it's here. I'm bringing the assurance, the faith, the knowledge, the experience that it's here. I know it's here. Turn to it. I think in spiritual teachings, a lot of times it gets very personalized, right? Turn to love, or turn to spirit, or turn to God. And person sets themselves up as what their followers end up turning to. Difficult position. Sometimes just unconsciously, sometimes deliberately. But the point is to assist people to seek, to realize how bad they want it, not just to walk around with this dull pain in their life experience, but to feel how much it hurts and how much they want something. Because until you really want it, you ain't gonna find it. But to feel how much you do want it, and then to find where it is in yourself, to turn, to orient. There's all kind of ways to say it, and most of the time it's physical. Like, we have a booklet around here, look up. Well, it's not exactly up, but we think of heaven as being up, and it's a symbol for where it is to look up, just like to say it's within you is somewhat symbolic. But it's present, it's available. If you think about it, doesn't all human teaching come down to helping a person get in touch with something that is a potential within them that is invisible? That is invisible. But here, we're talking about the highest teaching there is, because we're talking about the most fundamental, most essential factors in the human experience. And I would say, with the premise, not that nothing else matters. Jesus' way of saying it was, all these other things can get added if you do this one thing. It's not that any other teaching doesn't matter. It's all important. All of life is important. It's just that this is the linchpin of it all. And if you don't have the linchpin, there's no way for the rest of it to hang together. This is the basis of attunement. The basis of attunement. And this is the keystone of all the rest of human experience, all the rest of human teaching, is this attunement with the invisible potential that is within us. And that potential connects with the infinite soul family, the soul family of the cosmos. And you can call it God if you want, the God family, God presence, call it God love. Well, good to share these things. I'll say happy to find a way of speaking about this great spiritual teacher, Jesus, that takes him out of the shroud of religion. Getting a little feisty about it and saying, guess what, Christianity? You don't own him. No, he is himself available to all people. All people. And that was what the Christmas angel said. Joy to all people. Not just religious people, not just Western people, not just Christian people. No, he brought something to all people because he was the real deal, bringing the real teaching. And it can't be understood by putting him in a cage of religion. I'm not saying that there's not value in a religion following him. I'm just saying nobody owns this man. Nobody owns what he taught. Nobody owns love. And he brought love, for sure. And it's available to all people, and it's free.